leaves, they grow on anything that grows out of the ground, whether it's a tree, a shrub, a weed, or your garden. They're everywhere, and they collect sunlight for growing your fruits, vegetables, or sometimes you can use them as shade during the hot summer. But when the summer turns to fall and those leaves die off, they become a big problem. What if I told you that you can use the same kind of a system that nature does? One where you can put those leaves to use for you in your garden. And even better yet, what if I told you it doesn't even matter whether or not you've collected those leaves yourself or just threw them away? We're going to talk about leaf mold here. And I'm even going to let you know how to get leaves that you've already thrown out. Hey guys, it's your boy Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil. And the topic I'm covering today might be a little bit of a puzzling one because of the time of the year. You would think that the topic of leaf mold would be something we try to cover in the fall, seeing as that's when the leaves are falling and it's easy to make a pile. But did you know you can still cash in on leaf mold even if you did get rid of those leaves? Well, you can. And depending on how lucky you are, you might even pay off because guess what? You wouldn't have to put in any of the work. The place that you would find leaf mold at is called a municipal composting facility. And basically what that entails is during the year, in the fall, when people put out bags or just rake all their leaves up, trucks come along and they suck up all those leaves. If you're lucky, they'll be taken to a facility that's open to the public of your area. Now, there's two things you have to keep in mind in regards to these composting facilities. They might be one where they actually go ahead and really break down and process those leaves, and what you're picking up from them is just about as good as if what you've done at your house. Maybe they've sat for 2 or 3 years and they're nice and crumbly, and I'm going to show you guys some of the well broken down leaf mold. But the second thing though is if they do not do that, there is a very specific way that you need to go into these facilities to get the best leaf mold that you can. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. I'm going to show you both ways of why it's easy and the other one of why it's not, because it really depends on timing. Now when it comes to the leaf mold and going to the facility, what you're looking for is a dark layer. There's going to be a dark layer and then a tan lighter layer. The tan layer is more than likely that past fall's harvest that they've dumped on top of the pile. Now if they're not actively composting it and turning it, that's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing about the light layer is you can bag up as much as you want and take it back home and either A, chop it up with a lawnmower and throw it onto your beds as a mulch, and it'll just break down in the bed. But if you're lucky and you can get down to the dark layer, the closer to the ground you can get, the better. You can get stuff that's 2, 3, maybe even 4 years worth of leaf mold that's been broken down. And guess what, guys? It doesn't get any better than that, because that's exactly what we're trying to get. Whether it's at home or at the composting facility, the best thing you can get is that very rich dark stuff. So what I'm going to do is show you what I found at my composting facility. It's not the 100% broken down stuff, but it is well on its way, and I can show you what I mean by the tan layer on top and the layer that I actually pulled. Now what I did is I found myself a little pocket up here, and see all of this is dry and it's brown, and that's like the perfect leaf mold consistency that you're looking for. But I prefer to find the pockets where it's still wet. And the reason for that is I can directly feed that to my worms and they would be quite happy. Let's get this out of here. The other thing I like about these pockets though is if you look really closely, you see this stick and all this white stuff all over it? That's good. That tells me that it's been here for a while, because that's mold and fungus starting to break down the stick, and that's easy to break apart. So that's the stuff we want. Stuff that's gonna break apart easy like that. Stuff that's partially, and look, you found some more here and some more. So yeah, this is definitely the spot we're picking from. So as you can see, there was the leaves that were in those big giant piles. But the other thing that I'm not sure if you caught on or saw the importance of was they don't just do leaves there. They also have chipped wood. So instead of like calling a place like Chip Drop or something like that that takes wood that was freshly done and drops it off in your driveway, I can go to this place and I can pick the old wood, the wood that sat there for at least the winter or maybe a couple of winters, because those piles never die. They never get used up completely. There's always something there. They've even got sand piles there, and they've got another, it's like a brush pile. Basically, they're not chipping it like they do like the logs or the limbs. They just pile them in there. I don't know why, but I'm sure there's some kind of use for it. But depending on what the operation is like, you may be able to pull up and get 2 or 3 things that you can use in your garden, and really the only work you have to do is basically bag it. Now my compost facility, they actually have workers that will take one of the dump trucks or whatever, and actually I could call them, let them know that I'm coming and I was needing a bed full, and they'll be there ready to do. So I wouldn't even have to get out of my car to do it. So there's that. You could also bring in those flatbeds, whatever you've got, and that will allow you to take as much of that as you can. Just, I can take it there, and that's exactly what they'll fill. So you don't have to put any real work into it either. So if you've got, you know, health problems or physical issues that bar you from being able to do a lot of this stuff, a lot of the work can be done for you picking it up. And then once you bring it home, all you have to do is find some help, and they can do it for you, so you can still get your, you know, your mulch and some of the amendments that you might need in your garden accomplished. Now, there's a very important thing I must stress to you guys here. As good as it is to have a municipal composting facility nearby, the thing you always have to remember is don't automatically trust something just because it says it's, you know, organic, or it's, you know, they only take in certain materials. You always have to believe that it could potentially be contaminated. So, no matter what, I always bioassay my compost that I pick up. I've got a video series showing exactly how I do my bioassays. All you really need is the medium that you're working with, or that you're thinking about putting into your garden. You put it in a container, you drop some seeds in to the soil, and see what happens. I might be, you know, cutting it a bit short, which I am. If you're looking on how to do a bioassay to ensure that what you're putting into your garden is safe before it gets in there, I will put the video for my bioassay at the end of this video, and I will also put the series of them down into the description. That way it's easier for you guys to find it. Okay, lastly, what I want to cover is how do I use the leaf mold. So you have the fresh leaves if you just take it off the top of the pile. The second type you have is the one that's sort of kind of in the middle, where it's chopped up but it's gotten dark because it sat there for maybe a few months, or maybe it's the last year's fall leaves. and you can use those too. And then the dark, rich stuff that's all crumbly, that has a bunch of worms in it, that's the third type. So for the chopped leaves, it's very easy. Bring them home, hit them with the mower, put them on your pots, your beds as a mulch layer, and let them break down over the summer. And come winter and fall, you add some more onto it, or you just cover it. There you go, done. Now, the second one, the one that's like in the middle that I said is darker than the tan, but not as dark as the really good stuff, that actually could be a top dressing. And it's basically the same thing with the leaves, but this has already started the breakdown. So there's a good chance that the nutrients that are contained in the leaf mold will start to feed whatever it is that you're mulching them with. So that could be your garden beds, your pots, your flower beds, just about anything. But now, the third one, the crumbly stuff. This one opens up a whole different world for you. You can add it as an amendment to your soil mix for seed starting, which is what I do. I use a combination of leaf mold and my own worm castings in my potting mix. I also have a video that I'll also link in the description about how I use that in my potting mix. Then you could also add it as a top dressing, just like you would do with worm castings, or you could do it to an entire bed after you put down, you know, your granular fertilizers. You can sit there and sprinkle on a decent amount of the processed leaf mold, and that will actually help inoculate or add more nutrients to your bed. And the last way you can do it, as a tea. Now, the difference between leaf mold and compost is leaf mold is just the leaves. It tends to be highly fungal just because it takes the fungi to break down leaves. They're a lot tougher. It's not a hot composting process. It's cold compost and it's slow, but it gives you a different product with different benefits than just straight compost. It could also be a soil conditioner, as well as a way for people to, like I said, make sure that they have the fungal part of their soil food web in whatever soil that they're in. So if you're just using just compost, you're likely to have fungi in there, but this is a very, very good amendment to add in addition to worm castings. Now, I hope that this information is helpful, and I hope that you're also able to find one of these compost facilities around you. Like I said, it saves you the work of having to manage the pile yourself, having to build the pile yourself, and you might be able to get a large load of it from said facility without you having to put a whole lot of effort into it. That's all I got for you this time, guys. If you got any questions or need any kind of other information, let me know down in the comment section, and I'll do my best to help you guys out. So for now, I'm your boy, Big Wheel Dog 82, in the soil, and I'm out here, guys. See you later.